The agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Supervisor Powers.
Good and gracious Creator, we thank you for making the earth fruitful so that it may produce what is needed for life. Bless those who labor in the fields, especially bless the egg farmers, cattlemen, and dairy farmers of our great state. Give us seasonal weather and grant that we may share the fruits of the earth. Amen.
Amen. Do I have a motion for this evening's agenda? Motion made and second to approve this evening's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. At this time, we'll have public comments. Anyone wishing from the public out there wishing to say anything to the board at this time, you'll have 2 minutes to speak on anything, whether it's on the agenda or not, as long as it pertains to Winnebago County. So if you do, just come up to the microphones in back and say your name and address. Anyone wishing to speak to the county board this evening? Anyone wishing to talk to the board? Not seeing any in the back. Anyone on Zoom? And none on Zoom. So we'll continue right on. Communications, petitions, memorials, accounts, commendations.
Trying to catch up. All right, we have a number of resolutions from other counties. All of these have already been referred to the legislative committee, but it's resolution number 3523, a resolution regarding foreign ownership of farmland from Douglas County. Resolution number 14-2023, requesting the state of Wisconsin to review and revise its policy on foreign ownership of farmland from Green Lake County. A resolution to request the state of Wisconsin revise solar energy system law from Kenosha County. And resolution number 70-2023, to requesting the state of Wisconsin to use a portion of the 2023 budgetary surplus for the maintenance, repair, and replacement of county trunk highway system from Oneida County. Resolution number 190623, requesting the state of Wisconsin review and revise the compensation rate for state public defenders from Walworth County. We have one zoning petition for Stephen Cottrell and Linda Hawksworth from the town of Inland, rezoning from R1 rural residential to A2 general agriculture. We have a thank you card from Milana Krishnevsky. She was the Winneconne High School scholarship recipient. Dear Winnebago County Board, thank you so much for your generous scholarship award in the amount of $1,000. I am very grateful to have both my writing skills and my aspirations acknowledged. The money you provided will be used to pay for my tuition so that I can follow or focus on studying. This truly means so much to me. Thank you, sincerely, Milana. And then a thank you from Logan Olszewski. He's from Menasha High School. Dear Winnebago County Board of Supervisors, I want to sincerely thank you for your generous gift. I was greatly honored to be a recipient of a 2023 Winnebago County Board Scholarship. I also enjoyed attending the board meeting on June 20th. The proceedings were very interesting, and after researching what your body does, it was neat to see the process in action. I am going to study very hard at UW Oshkosh because I want to earn the gift that I have received, and one day I hope to pay it forward. Sincerely, or thank you, Logan. And then we have two commendations tonight. The first one is for Thomas McGinnis. Thomas McGinnis began his career with Winnebago County as a maintenance worker 2 at Parkview Health Center in 1992. He was promoted to environmental services supervisor in 1994. Then in 2008, he was promoted to maintenance supervisor at facilities. In 2014, he moved to the Parks Department as a parks manager, where he led the upkeep and maintenance of over 1,000 acres of parkland across the county. Tom is very talented, and he always has the best interests of the residents in mind when he performed any tasks for the parks. With over 31 years of county service, Tom retired from the Parks Department on July 5th, 2023. Tom will be enjoying his retirement by seeing his daughter getting married this fall. Tom will also be getting lost in the woods and taking road trips to some of his favorite destinations out west. And then we have a commendation for Dan Ziegenhagen. Dan Ziegenhagen started with Winnebago County at the Solid Waste Recycling Center in June of 1998. In October of that year, he began his career with the Highway Department. Dan held several positions at Highway over the years, including janitor watchman, Class 2 operator, and Class 3 bridge maintenance assistant. Dan was an extremely dedicated and hard worker. He excelled at every task he was given for the Highway Department. With over 25 years of county service, Dan retired from the Highway Department on June 5th, 2023. He plans to spend his retirement years with family riding his motorcycle and, most importantly, continuing daily chores at the family homestead just outside of Oshkosh. That's all I have. Thank you.
Reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two things. One, is this the time when I would ask for something to be removed from the consent calendar?
No, when we get to the consent calendar, that's when you pull it.
Okay, and my other thing is that one of our Winnebago County scholarship recipients received the first half of her scholarship, and we heard from her mother. She is a brave scholar and has been sent to Japan and will be postponing her first semester. I spoke to Supervisor Moran as well as Father Aaron Walter, who are the other two members of the scholarship committee, and we all agreed that we would let the student keep her first $500, and when she enrolls in class 24-25 and finishes her first semester, depending on her grades, she would receive her second half. But we will award all the scholarships that year, and then the other half for her should she do the right grades. Thank you. That's it.
Supervisor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The IT committee met last week to discuss the amendment to the Winnebago County Board of Supervisor rules regarding the county-issued devices and the appropriate behavior with them. We passed it unanimously after not much discussion, as I believe is mostly ironed out. And with us passing it, I believe now it goes back to JPS. So it is moving along in the process, and we will probably have it to the board. I'm not sure if it'll be next month or in September. So.
Supervisor Flom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to let the board know that the Structure Review Task Force gave its presentation to the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee last week. The JPS committee will have a resolution and an ordinance change in front of them that will originate from the committee starting at its next meeting in August. From there, hopefully, if it does advance to the board, then we would have a special, present during the special orders meeting. So that's what I have. I thank everybody for coming to the last JPS meeting to listen to the presentation, and you will hear more from me soon. Thank you.
Supervisor Gabbard.
Just one quick note, most of you know this, but the EAA starts on Monday, the 24th, and they're expecting over 650,000 people to show up for that event, so a lot of economic impact for Winnebago County. Just thought I'd throw that out for you.
Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to share with the supervisors a public notice that was published in the Oshkosh Northwestern on July 12th, 2023. It related to the bidding on a contract for the airport, the control tower modernization. And what was interesting to me that I care to share with you is that the bidding on that contract was wholly electronic, so that they would not be accepting paper bids for that particular project, so that supervisors can keep that in mind when some of their constituents might inquire about bidding on Winnebago County contracts, that it could be, if the circumstances are such as with this July 12th notice, electronic bidding only. Thank you.
Supervisor Nelson.
Yes, I'd just like to update the board on our ITBEC committee. What we've accomplished since November is absolutely nothing. We have a Facebook page that has not been updated since 2019. We have 4 followers and 2 likes. We have been arguing ever since that we maybe have to update our website. The RFP that is supposed to be done has not been done for 6 months under the guidance of our director from the counties. We went to the state, or she went to the state, to get ideas on how we can promote tourism for Winnebago, Fond du Lac, and Calumet. And the state has suggested we can spend $5,000 to $15,000 to have somebody come in here and do geocaches so that people will come up here to find these geocaches. We haven't told anybody about the air show. We haven't told anybody about PGI coming to town. And my frustration on that committee is really ramping up. I've never seen anything quite so frustrating in my life. So just wanted to let you know, we got a meeting in Calumet on the 28th. You're welcome to come and watch a committee that accomplishes nothing.
I don't know if I should say thank you or not, but. County Executive Damo.
I'd like to thank the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors and the Board Chair for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to start off with my Human Service Board appointment for tonight. I'm appointing Mark Weissensell. Is that how you pronounce that, Bill? Was it close enough? All right. To the Oshkosh Human Service Board, term expiring December 31st of 2025. Mark served Winnebago County for years in the realm of human services. He started his career under Orrin King and has served under every county executive through Mark Harris. Now he will have the opportunity to serve as a citizen instead of an employee pending your approval. I would like to discuss the merit plan proposal before you tonight in 2015 and open myself up for questions after my report. Any adjustments made to the compensation schedule to keep pay rates current with the market were only applied to the schedule in the past, not the employee wages. This led us to in-range compression and the need for reslotting adjustments. We are looking to correct this plan by implementing 2 separate raises. This is the gist of the policy discussion tonight. Get rid of the merit share system and implement a schedule adjustment which will apply to all regular employees, as well as a separate merit adjustment that is simply earned or not earned, but the intention is to be earned. Make it more objective, less subjective, and allow employees to move along the range no matter how long or short they've worked in their positions. In 2015, a similar plan was proposed after months of work. It was amended on the floor of the board after minutes of debate. I ask you to trust the experts tonight and give them the opportunity to address any concerns you may have by asking them the questions that you have on top of your mind tonight. Next, I want to address some concerns about the Spirit Fund and about the process. First, an amendment was made to move non-government portions up to the administrative portion of the fund. This did not exclude nonprofits from being eligible. This excluded entities that did not help us in our core missions from being eligible. So in case tourism, and I doubt ITBEC, by the sounds of it, would make it past this board. Nonprofits are the safety net before our safety net. They are our partners in the human services for our citizens. Some would argue they can be more effective and more efficient than we as government can be. But I do fully understand some of the concerns you may have. Some nonprofits are political. Some nonprofits can have heavy administrative costs, and that's of great concerns when we're talking about taxpayer money. But I want to ensure that we have a fair process that looks at the merit of the mission and not giving more weight to those with more resources. I want a process where Ascend and NINA has the same chance of funding as the Boys and Girls Club in Oshkosh. To assure this, the ARPA Commission has tasked Citizen Work Group to categorize all submissions and present the scope of needs in Winnebago County to this entire board. It'll be presented to this full board before it even goes to the ARPA Commission for deliberation. I want to remind this board that no citizen is authorized to allocate any of these dollars. Every penny of the Spirit Fund must come to this board to be appropriated. The citizen group is comprised of some pretty quality people, and I want to let you know who those are tonight. Rachel Hansen is a senior community engagement specialist at Oshkosh Corporation. She is also the current president of the Propel Young Professionals Group and an Oshkosh resident. Pete Dulcamera, retired from his role as chief scientist at Kimberly-Clark, resides in the Neenah and Menasha area. Kate Fatner previously served on the board of Winneconne Community Foundation, was a Winneconne resident for 30-plus years and recently moved to Oshkosh. And then Beth Oswald, the president and CEO at the Oshkosh United Area United Way, a resident of Black Wolf and a member of the Black Wolf Board of Appeals. They will be tasked simply in sorting and categorizing all the requests in an open and transparent process. And I thank them for their willingness to help. That presentation will then be presented to this board in full and then to the ARPA Commission to deliberate. Thank you. That is my report tonight, and I'll open up for questions, please.
Any questions? Supervisor Hanson.
Yeah, first on the merit plan, I am hearing mixed things from employees. I know you said trust the experts. Sometimes the experts don't have all of the answers because they play on a different field than the ground level employees. What is the employee feedback on this?
Hundreds and hundreds. It started off with lunches with the exec. This is literally something we've been working on since I got in office. One of the very first things and the very first complaints that I heard anytime I talked to employees was our merit system. They didn't feel like it was fair. They felt like the shared system is a weighted system, that the longer you've been in Winnebago County, the smaller your share potential is, and that's kind of what gave us all the compression. They also complained that it was too subjective, that people were graded. So when they would come in and they would kind of be shocked at the evaluation process. An evaluation process should be open to the point where both parties know exactly how the outcome is going to come. Because we need to do, I talk all the time about coaching daily, that a personal improvement plan is a safety net, not a discipline, that we have to let our people know. My intention is that 2% would go across the board, and very few, if any, would not receive the merit. So I think it does address a lot of the concerns that we had for multiple departments, whether it be facilities, human services, highway, and I think we did a good job addressing those. And tonight, when you're asking questions of probably both Mike Collard, Director Collard, and Director Habeck, we also have some other department heads in the room, and I would encourage you to ask them their opinions as well. I hope that answered your question. Okay.
Nonprofits, please, no one misunderstand. I am never arguing the altruism of nonprofits. What I am hearing, though, when I attend the meetings, either in person or on Zoom, and this goes to anyone applying, is my organization is different, my organization is better, my organization is this or that. What I fear most in the nonprofit field is, what about me too? That is just a concern, and it sounds like on the 4 members that you have, 3 of them are either now or formerly with nonprofits. So I'm glad that you're at least presenting everything back to the board first before it goes to the Spirit Fund. And then I noticed on the website, it looks like the July date has been changed now to August 4th. Why was that changed? How many meetings have the four people had, and how many projects have been presented?
Two reasons. Number one, because it said application, people felt like it was a final form. There was a lot of pressure, and we weren't getting submissions. So we changed it to say, just let us know what your projects are. We didn't want people to feel like they had to make sure it was perfect to get it through. That being the four group, so to back that up, so then we added some extra time to give more people time to kind of submit. The four citizen group has not seen any yet. I think Beth is the only one that's seen applications come in. And I'm not looking at them. I'm not letting them come across my desk either. I want to make sure that they see it outside of them. There's a discussion about open meetings, which we agree upon. So that was another reason we wanted to push back that date, because I'm not interested in an open meeting taking place until that timeline is done, because I don't want anybody to see somebody else's application and use that to fill out their own application or judge it. So there's a little bit of balancing, and I honestly don't want to give anybody an advantage over anybody else. So we want to try to keep that fair. And those meetings, I believe, are going to be Zoomed. They'll have public comments. We're figuring out how to do an agenda for them. One of the concerns was none of them are board members, so they don't really have authority to do anything. But I think we figured out that we can still do a meeting with an agenda, even though they don't have any authority to make a decision other than just sorting.
Just one follow-up, if I may, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Dingell.
Yes, sir.
Is one of the reasons you think you're maybe not getting some applications is the either minimum or maximum? Obviously, you wouldn't want to see 50 organizations at $1,000 each. That might not be the best thing, so I understand. Is that possibly one of the reasons? Or is it just getting the word out?
It could be, but I think a lot of the challenges, just like many of the things that we're looking at in the county, I want to make sure that these are legacy impacts. It'd be hard for me to imagine any project less than $50,000 can have a legacy impact. And I am less concerned with making sure we have a process that gets this money out the door as fast as we can, as I am as us looking back in 25 years saying we made the right decisions. You know, it's that long term, did we actually do things that are going to make a legacy impact, much like the land and water thing that we passed for $3 million. That's something that could affect the water quality in Winnebago County for a century to come. I want to make sure that when we're looking at these projects that they have that kind of oomph, if you would. And I don't think anything less than 50,000, it may be. That being said, now that we said this is an application, just let us know what your ideas are and what the stage is. I believe we're getting more submissions now.
Thank you. Just want to see some of these projects get out the door. Thank you.
Agreed.
Supervisor Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have some clarifying questions.
Sure.
And then a question about process.
Sure.
In the beginning, it was my understanding that the commission members were reviewing applications and recommending projects to the board. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And just now, I think I heard you say there's essentially a citizen subcommittee reviewing applications and making recommendations.
Not making recommendations, just sorting. We have a couple things that we wanted for Spirit Fund projects to check. Is it in Winnebago County? Will it be, what's the timeline on it? Is it a legacy item? Is it going to have a long-term impact? So that's all they're doing is just categorizing which of the standards they meet, where they're going to be in the county, just to make it nice, clear, and concise, and then give it to this board first, and then the ARPA Commission second.
Okay. Is there a scoring sheet associated with their review process?
Unsure.
Okay. About being presented to this board first and then going to the commission, help me understand that process.
Well, transparency. I want you guys to see all the projects that came in, whether it checked the box or didn't check the box. I want you to see every submission we have through a presentation, and then if they want to defend why they put it in what category, all four, I would guess would be here to answer those questions.
Okay.
And I kind of want to make sure that it's, number one, outside of my office, that we have a citizen group kind of doing the sorting, and then bringing it to here for transparency, and then bringing it to the ARPA Commission, and then any project that makes it through the ARPA Commission would then come to this board for appropriation.
Okay, I appreciate you explaining that more thoroughly. And now to exactly how this happened, how did this subcommittee come to be? Was it a recommendation from the ARPA Commission? Was it something that was decided in the executive's office? How did that come to be?
Well, yeah, I think we worked at it. I think one of the questions that Supervisor Borchert had on one of our early meetings is, how do I know what the needs are? You know, how do we know what the needs are? We don't have a master plan for Winnebago County. So it was really to get some of these people that were involved more in these foundational pieces. And foundations are a little different from nonprofits. They're like the nonprofit for nonprofits, if you would. They kind of oversee and know the partners and kind of divvy up funds where it needs to go, kind of like United Way or the Oshkosh Community Foundation. So I think, I'm trying to see how to answer.
I guess my question is, it sounds very different from what the board authorized in its resolution about forming the ARPA Commission.
Mm-hmm.
So where did you find the authority to form the
Sure.
subcommittee?
Yeah, I think it's no different from JPS saying, let's form a separate committee to look at committee structure. Look at somebody else to kind of separate things and do the work and bring it back. And I'd love to push it on staff, but they would probably kill me if I gave them more things to do.
So are you saying it was a directive of the ARPA Commission?
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about it together and thought it was the best way to go forward.
Okay, I just want to be very clear on
Yep.
how that happened. Thank you.
And Tom, you're the co-chair of that commission. Would you agree with that assessment?
Parts of it, yes.
Okay, all right. And if there's any disagreement, please feel free to.
Okay. Supervisor Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, County Executive.
Hi.
I just have a question also about the ARPA Commission or Spirit Fund. Hopefully we can interchange those terms now.
Right.
I received a hard copy of the ARPA application with the deadline of March 31st printed on it. And then on a press release for June 22nd, it said that the deadline was then changed to July 15th. On our county website right now, it says that the project assessment survey has a due date of August 4th. So from where I sit, it either looks like we're making exemptions for certain people to apply, or that we've changed the date to push out other applications pending.
No, and I can understand the concerns there. We're just trying to be real and understand when we made a mistake, and try to make sure that the process is open. We had the concerns that we didn't, even though we put press releases out, not a lot of people heard about it. I think Supervisor Stafford mentioned 2 nonprofits to me, and then when you reached out, had they heard about it? They had not heard about it. So we had all these smaller people that do great work in our community that hadn't heard about it. So we want to make sure they had a chance. Versus some of our nonprofits have a lot of resources. They have staff dedicated to look to see where some of these funds are coming. Some nonprofits in our area have federal lobbyists that live in DC that know before we do these funding opportunities come. So that was really the eye opener for us, is that we didn't do a good job getting word out, and we wanted to put some more time on that.
Okay, thank you. And then second question, last month, someone had inquired about the 145,000 checks sent to go out to the different towns and municipalities. Unfortunately, I received a call from our mayor in Menasha, and it was now been described as a refund check, where the cities have to spend the money first and then it's refunded to them. I don't remember voting on that. In that specific language, it was just supposed to be a check written out. And unfortunately, last month, it was, I guess, deemed an accounting error. So I'm just curious to know.
Well, reimbursements are probably the easiest way to ensure they're doing the right thing with it. Now, if there's cash flow problems, we can work on that with them. If they have something they can't afford, but they need to, we can do that. And it's harder to hold them accountable if we just give them $145,000 and trust them to do it, and then maybe get the receipts later. Town of Menasha, for example, or the city of Menasha, for example, was inquiring about purchasing land for a park in the future, and unsure when they're going to purchase that. Well, they hit the deadline. So it's hard for me to give the $145,000 to Menasha, even if they vote that we're going to possibly buy this land. I want to make sure that there's actually action taken. Some of the towns have it lined up. They know exactly what project they're going to do it on. It's a town road. The $145,000 is not going to cover it all. It'll be really easy for us to get that money out. At the same time, I have to make sure that there's a process for my finance department and director of administration to be able to track these dollars. It's going to be really hard to dole it out and then make sure the reporting on the back end and our audits that everything lines up.
Sure, I would just really encourage you to reread the resolution because that's not what I voted for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Supervisor Haran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to follow up with what Supervisor Dowling was saying. At the Winnebago County Town meeting that we had, many of the people were talking about they were expecting the $145,000 and didn't have a clue as to if that money was ever going to arrive or when it was going to arrive.
Sure.
And you spoke to it, but kind of vaguely spoke to it.
Correct.
So I would like some answers to that, please, sir. And the other thing that I have been hearing is that Oshkosh gets a lot of funding. They got $10 million, they got another $1 million, and that's just from outside stuff. What happens with the other areas in our county?
Let me answer the first question.
Okay.
And then I'll ask for clarification on the second one.
Okay.
It's about capacity. And it's really capacity. I mean, we are still trying to facilitate $10.5 million for the neighborhood investment grant. And it is, I have a finance director and Carol, which are doing a great job, and Director Collard that's doing a great job, but it's simply, it's workload. And we're doing the best we can to get these things done, but you're talking about millions of dollars, and even the $3 million for other towns, you're talking about replicating that 22 times, and making sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And I have 3 people that can check those T's and I's, which is why I was bringing forward an analyst position to kind of help with them with a lot of the stuff in the back end. And you know, that did not make it through P&F, and I understand that. It's just capacity issues is what's the holdup. And myself, I'm elected to make sure that they're doing their jobs, make sure they're working together. And I can tell you that I have full confidence that they are working on as hard as they can. That being said, they can't really hand me the tax sheet from the state. I'm not really qualified to do that. So the only help that I really have for them is moral support and making sure they have the tools they need, which I'm trying to get them.
Now, what it feels like to me is we're playing telephone. And the further down the stream it goes, the more confused it becomes.
Yep.
And by the time the last person hears it, it's not at all what it was at the beginning.
Yep.
And I think that's important that we don't play telephone.
Correct.
People get very confused.
I agree.
Okay, now the second portion to my question was I have heard up in the northern part of the county that lots of money has been spent in Oshkosh that has been appropriately done, but other areas have not had the same kind of monies given to them.
Can you give me an example of that?
Give you an example of that.
Sure.
Well,
Like the day-by-day warming shelter?
yes, correct. So that we had $10 million grant when I first got on the board that was
Yep.
divvied up between Oshkosh.
Sure.
That's $10 million
Yep.
in Oshkosh.
Yep.
And then we spent another $1 million on Harrison Street. Now, I'll tell you, the only thing that I know that is actually happening in Neenah is $340,000 that has yet to be appropriated for a home up there. And that's the only thing
Silvercrest
I
tonight.
know of. Silvercrest,
All right.
exactly.
And also Covey, which has broken ground for adult family housing. So for adults with maybe disabilities that deserve the dignity to live on their own, and their parents are maybe getting a little bit too old to take care of them. We broke ground on that, Nina. That is a brand-new build. Covey was $1.5 million of that spirit, or the, neighborhood investment grant. City of Neenah and City of Menasha also had a neighborhood investment grant of their own that was in the millions as well. I believe Neenah was $3 million and Menasha was $2.5 million. Don't quote me on that. I think I'm close. But they also had some agreements. Habitat for Humanity is out in Omro. They bought an entire plot that they're trying to develop and try to build 20 houses for the cost of 16 and try to do economies of scales to bring it in together. So I do know that there was a lot in Oshkosh because of Solutions Recovery Houses, which serves all of the citizens of the county. The day-by-day warming shelter, which is serving all of the citizens of the county. Those are probably the two big ones. But Covey was a good portion of Neenah. Habitat for Humanity was a good part of Omro.
Fox Crossing?
We will work on Fox Crossing. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Supervisor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only question I have is about the two raises. So the two raises goes to everybody?
That is the assumption. So the schedule adjustment will move all the schedules up, and everybody will move with that. In the past, we've only moved the schedule, not the employee. So we've actually had people move backwards in the range. So that's the first one. Whenever we make adjustments to the schedule, that will move up. The second one is the merit-based, which this year I'm going to propose in the budget 2% for everybody to move along the range. And 2% is the suggested number that we have, because that's the magic number to get somebody to control point 5 years. And they can reach top of range between 11 and 12, maybe 15. And the intention, of course, is to make sure that everybody has that. And the difference between that and a step raise is in a step raise, the numbers are fixed. So either you have the room in the budget to give them a raise or you don't, which happened in Winnebago County, and we froze wages for years. This gives us the flexibility that if our budget is tight or the economy is a little bit tighter, we can still do something without pausing everybody. So we still have the flexibility. If we have a good year and we have a good budget, we could do a little bit more on that schedule range if need be. But it doesn't tie us into a certain percentage every year if there's a year where we can't afford it. So it's kind of I think our team did a really good job devising something that balances between the two worlds.
Okay, and then my other question, my last question, I believe would be, is that we'll take, for instance, an employee that goes up above the call of duty, and then the employee that is just mediocre. So now, is that employee that does better than this employee going to get a? You know what I'm getting at?
I do. I have two ways to address that. First is culture. If we have culture, a lot of that measuring goes away. Cy Wakeman has a book called Reality-Based Leadership. She talks about life being a highway full of jerks and idiots. Jerks are everybody going faster than you, idiots are everybody going slower than you. As long as you know the rules of the road, things should matter because we're all heading in the right direction. So we shouldn't be measuring against each other. Secondly, the people that are going above and beyond, those are our rock stars. Those are the people we should be finding and training and turning into our managers tomorrow and turning into our leaders tomorrow. They're not destined to sit in that job for 30 years. They're destined for something more. So when we find that in people, we need to be able to coach them up and train them because it's going to be really, really hard to recruit the next 3 years. So we need to start growing our own leaders. So that's how I would address that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Supervisor Gustafson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. County Exec, you did bring up a point about the reimbursement checks, and that you were doing some sort of auditing with that to make sure that they're spending it properly. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what kind of reporting or auditing that you're trying to do with this money as it goes out?
Sure. I'm going to defer a little bit to Director Collard, who understands the finances a little bit more on that.
Sure. The county receives, I don't know how many hundreds of different kinds of grants from federal and state sources. And a lot of our accounting for these grants and a lot of the county's accounting system in general is really driven by the demands of our auditors, because under federal requirements, we have to have an audit of all these funds and their usage every year. So part of it is just, finance department is very much in the habit of, when they get money, they have to justify exactly where it went, and that's usually through showing reimbursement, showing the receipts, right? So they have to have some ability to paper exactly what it was spent for and used for. Now, I know the finance department knows that it's not in the resolution that it has to be an expense reimbursement, but that's how they, at least at the present time, drew up the draft of the agreement, because without seeing the receipts, they're not sure they will have the paper, the accounting backup to show the proper entry to demonstrate to the auditor that this money was used in accordance with the directives of the board. Now, the board didn't direct that it be a reimbursement, but it did direct that the money be used for specified purposes, and imposed a number of conditions, which are in the resolution, which are also all in that agreement. We looked over that carefully. And so we're not sure how we can prove to an auditor or to the board that the money was spent for the proper purpose with the proper restrictions and conditions attached, unless we have the receipts, if you will. So we're working on that. It doesn't have to be a reimbursement, but we have to, if we don't have a reimbursement, we have to have a way to require the municipality to return the money if they don't provide us with the proper documentation after the fact, which is going to be more work for the finance department, but that's what we can do.
If I may, with a follow-up for Mr. Collard. Wasn't the purpose of putting the ARPA funds into the Spirit Fund to kind of circumvent some of the auditing that was required with the ARPA funding?
Not the auditing. The federal requirements and reporting requirements to the U.S. Treasury Department, which is a whole different animal than the federal or state single audit trails that we have to meet. So you know, there are timelines, there are different reporting requirements, there's the possibility the federal government could claw the money back if unspent by a certain date. Those are all things we're just a little bit worried about and no longer have to worry about, because according to the Treasury Department, I don't even have to file a report this month. It's time for our regular quarterly report. I'm done. I don't even have to file any more reports. So that much of it is done. We don't have that additional complicating layer, but it doesn't remove the requirement that our auditors have, that, you know, we show and document that the funds were dispersed appropriately.
Thank you. And I just kind of want to echo, obviously, the comments by Supervisor Wren as well, that the game of telephone is definitely getting pretty messy, and there needs to be a little bit more concise communication to the municipalities, kind of what's going on with this money, instead of us having to come here month after month asking where we're at with it. So.
And I would ask your help on that. When the mayor of Menasha reaches out to you, have him call me, like have him call our office. Please, like that's what I'd like to do. Or send an email, and we can get back to it. I know we're tight and we're working on a lot of things. Priority budgeting is becoming a big lift. I'm trying to figure out how the budget all works together. But we'll get back to them in time. And I think that will help a lot. But when you have to field 30 different calls on the same thing, it takes staff time to do that, and oftentimes we get sidetracked with that. But no, I agree. We got to try to get a little bit more clear. Thank you.
Supervisor Cox.
John, when we passed the 303 resolution, which was the resolution the NIG resolution, Neighborhood Investment Grant.
Yep.
We put an amendment on the end of that. You know what that amendment is?
Every 6 months.
Yes. And we're getting pretty close.
Yep.
I mean, Covey has not given us any kind of idea about what's going on over there.
They gave us a presentation, did
Did
they
they
not?
did they give a presentation on the last go-around?
Yeah, all 5 did, including the 6th one, which was our health program.
We'd like to, get an update.
Sure.
If we're going to, if we're going to start calling them out.
We'll be close to 6 months, and I think that's good. I think, Covey would like nothing more to come and let you know their progress on the adult house, the family housing that they're doing in Neenah. Tom Simon would like nothing more to tell you how the development out in Amro's going. So we will get that up here.
It doesn't take that much to, have a little show and tell.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
I guess I gotta add something I did last time, and
Please do.
I'm not the mayor of Neenah, but I am a chairman of a township, and I represent 4 other ones. And this $145,000, why isn't there a way, okay, like in our township, we're looking at building a road that we weren't gonna touch in 2023. But we got this $145,000 and that, and so we can take that. But now if we've gotta wait for that money, and if we don't know when this money's coming, because if it's taking you this long, it's very easy for you guys to say, well, we'll pay you in 6 months. Well, these people might not be wanting to wait for 6 months for us to pay for this road. I don't think that this telephone tag or whatever I think there's got to be a way that this money's got to get out, and that was voted that way.
Correct.
This money to go out, $145,000, and you are the executive, and so it's going to fall on you.
And I will take responsibility for that, and I'd also like to remind everybody what statute 5917 is about. You guys approve policies, and you appropriate a certain amount of money. And the county executive is responsible for the oversight of the operations of the county. And I'm going to give my team the best way for them to actually pull that off. And if my team tells me that this is how we have to do it to make sure that we can actually comply with the auditors, which is harder and harder every day. And what we're finding out now through priority-based budgeting, we have object codes that are different in every department. So we are trying to do a lot of cleaning to make sure that things actually line up. We're trying to find all the piggy banks, and I'm sure some people in the back don't want to hear that, but that's the reality. And what my team needs to pull this off is what I'm trying to do. And I am trying to do the best I can, and Mike knows I was at the end of the hall raising my voice, can't we just get this money out? With Paul and Carol saying, well, this is what we need to do on the audit when it comes up. It's not that easy. We need to make sure some assurance is in that. So I have to defer to them because I'm not a CPA, Paul is, so I take his advice on that.
Right.
But we are working the best we can to make sure that we can get it out as soon as we can. And for towns, because I know some towns don't have $145,000 cash flow it. So can we cash flow it? Can you figure out what the bill is, and then we could pay that easier? That's easier for us to do. Mike, am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah.
Right. So even if we got the bill, they wouldn't even have to pay it. We could just pay that bill. And that part makes it a lot easier for us.
So we can tell townships that they can send it to you and you guys will get it paid.
Correct.
Well, you've heard that now, so, okay.
If the other conditions are met.
Yeah,
Right.
if the conditions are met. And I want to make it honest. I don't think anybody in this room believes the Pentagon spends $90,000 on a toilet, right? But that seems right. But that seems like it's transparent. I want this to be honest. Everything I've been doing is to turn a light on the shadows, and I'm not trying to do anything different in this. So even Supervisor Guston to make sure that when I tell you that the town of Nakaimai spent it on 55 feet of road, whatever it is, I can prove to you that, yep, they spent it on 55 feet of road, and here's a receipt that we cash flowed for them so that you can trust my answer. I hope that makes sense.
Supervisor Hanson.
Yes, just to follow up, based on the conversations on the telephone, please forgive, this is an oversimplification. Why has there not been an email blast saying, here's the money, here's the requirements, this is what you need to do, please respond? Why didn't the mayor of Menasha get that? Why didn't Fox Crossing get that?
We did. We sent one out to all the clerks. Every clerk throughout the county got one.
Then how come Fox Crossing, and I know there's a difference, I don't remember with Supervisor Cox or Fari, the two people that I spoke with at Fox Crossing knew nothing about it, including their accounting office. Menasha mayor knows nothing about it, so somewhere the ball was dropped. Resend the emails, please.
Sure.
Supervisor Hran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to start to reiterate, you need to let us know the process so that we don't look stupid.
Sure.
I mean, seriously.
Yep.
Supervisor Gabbard.
I'll speak for our town. And you know how I am about that, John.
And I appreciate that.
We were told we were gonna get 145,000. We run our ship pretty tight. We tax our people, the town people elect the officials. We did get that email. We were assuming in the beginning we were gonna get a check for 145. We also thought that we'd have to spend it for certain things, infrastructure. A lot of towns are buying new fire trucks, so we thought this was no big deal. The check didn't come. We're pretty disgusted. So now I find out we have to record what we're spending and get a bill in. Doesn't work that way in our town. We don't have $145,000 sitting in the bank that we can pre-spend on a road, pre-spend on a truck. We'll borrow money and we'll get our truck, and we won't get the 145. We'll exist, we'll keep going, but we're disgusted about what went on. This was voted on over 3 months ago. No check came. Now the email came and said, you are going to get this, but you're going to have to follow these rules. And it's like you're accusing the villages, the towns, and like the city of Amro, village of Winneconne, that we don't know what we're doing in our towns, that we don't know how to spend money. So we're going to move on, and we're going to do our things. We're going to buy the truck, repair the roads, and maybe that check will flow. But to ask another municipality to give you the bill for what they spent and you'll get them a check, that seems unreal to me, that it's going down this way. We could have had those checks out, and you had at one time there was a form we were going to have to fill out 2 months ago. It's to the point right now that our township is just thoroughly disgusted with this. And I hear from other townships the same. I'm not attached to the village of Fox Crossing or the city of Menasha, but this is becoming a joke. So I get the auditor part, but it's almost like you think that these towns and other municipalities don't know what they're doing. So if there's all these rules that have come to play now, how come those rules weren't presented to us when we voted on this? We really don't think we're ever going to see that money.
Well, you
So
will.
That's where we're disgusted. Yet all of these municipalities make up Winnebago County. We pay taxes just like everybody else does. So I don't get what the ploy is here. We should go get a truck, borrow money, show you the bill. It doesn't work that way. We have to pay the bill when we get the truck. So we're borrowing the money and we're taxing our people. So from our perspective, this looks kind of iffy, shady, shaky, whatever you want to call it. So the phone tag, the emails, they're all whatever. I sit here tonight, I don't know when we're going to get the 145, if we're ever going to get it. But now we're jumping on to something else with the nonprofits and the foundations, but we haven't gotten any money out yet. And short staff, I get that. It's kind of disgusting, that's my point.
First of all, if Jim just wants to give us the invoice for the fire truck, we can, that works. We can cash roll that, because I understand the town of Oshkosh doesn't have $145,000 sitting around. Really, that's all it's going to take to make sure that our audit's good. The reason the audit's important, because that's where our credit rating comes from. And if our credit rating goes down, well, our bonding goes through the roof. So it all balances. Okay, again, smarter people than I are telling me this. That's why it matters. That's why I want to make sure that we're protecting all interest. I appreciate how frustrating it is. 2 years I battled for staff. 2 years I asked. I asked for my first ARPA person in October of 2021. And I don't know what more I can do than ask you for tools and keep getting shut down. And then you pass resolutions but pushes all the money out, and I'm trying to defend my staff the best I can. I'm trying to be an honest guy. I'm trying to make sure that this is all transparent. I'm trying to comply as hard as it was, which I love, by the way, recording meetings. I think that was an awesome move on your part to make sure that it's transparent and available for people. My staff is telling me that I need to stop and buy them some time is what I'm trying to do, because we have a lot of changes, and I know I'm a big pie-in-the-sky thinker, and I want to fix everything at once, and I can't, and I'm realizing that. And I understand the frustrations. I do. But there's 36 of you, and I maybe talk on the phone with a handful every once in a while. I mean, everybody has my cell number here. Do they not? I mean, it's tough. And for 2 years, I've been asking for resources. In 2 years, I've got to jump through hoop after hoop after hoop, and we can't even discuss an innovation analyst. Dies on a committee without a second. Here I am giving you an executive report and a meeting I can't even comment after when I'm done with this report. You are policy and budget, and I am operations. And I am telling you, I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to make it more effective. I'm trying to make it more efficient. I want to make sure your tax dollars are being optimally used. I'm trying to smash the piggy banks. I'm trying to tear down the silos and build one farm. And I don't know what more I can do than to sit here, and I'm not going to drop on my knees and tell you that I need more help. And I'm grateful for the help that I have, and I'm grateful for the opportunity it's putting in. I can promise you on the 4th floor, we're not slacking off. We are not having coffee hour or donuts. Unlike other executives that I know in the state, this is a full-time job for me. I'm there Monday through Friday. Ask anybody. I'm pushing every day to get this done at the sacrifice of my own business, because it's more important. And I'm trying to get us there. I promise you, Supervisor Gabbert, I'm trying to make sure that these things are happening. And I know that I have my people stressed out, and I do not want to go looking for another finance director. That was a long haul. And I don't want to go looking for another director of administration. I think we have the right one. And just trying to keep the balance of that. But every month coming here and having this fight over mundane things, and Spirit Fund is not mundane. That's not what I'm talking about. Over a staff issue, and not even be able to bring an innovation analyst to this board to even discuss, gets frustrating. And then I get calls on why isn't the money out? Why isn't the money out? Why isn't the money out? I apologize for being unprofessional. I probably shouldn't have done that, but.
Let me just add a caveat.
Yeah, sure.
Do we have to present a bill, or could we present, if we ordered a truck,
Invoice.
could we present the quote?
Yep.
And say, on this day, we have to pay for this truck? Can we count on the $145,000 for that truck?
If I may, I think I just need to point out that I'm looking at the resolution that the board did pass in March. There are 8 requirements that have to be met. So we can't just say yes, because that would work, but there are 8 requirements that have to be met and that we have to document have been met before we have legal authority to give the money out. You know, if the board passed a resolution saying, here, just write a check to the towns, we don't care what it's for, what they spend it on, you could have done that. But the resolution has 8 requirements in. We're not going to write a check unless we have information that they're all met. And that's not a matter of distrust or accusing the municipalities of anything. It's a matter of following the legal requirements that were set out in the resolution by this board. So there's significant requirements, including signing a standard agreement, spending the money by a certain time, providing documentation. You have to document that it falls within one of the categories of the original ARPA legislation. There has to be a governing body vote of how the money is going to be spent. We have to see evidence of all those things, and there are several others. So that's what makes it difficult. I can't just say, and the reason I jumped in is I'm afraid the county executive might say yes, because we want to, but we can't.
I asked the same questions, trust me.
Do the municipalities have that list of 8 items?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's public record, it's in the.
I don't think they have it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they've got parts of it. Okay, so there's a miscue there.
Just wait,
No.
your turn will come.
But, so, I said my piece.
Thank you.
I know you're working hard, I know you all are, but we're frustrated on our end.
I understand that, and I apologize.
Supervisor Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've set it up so that we could have applications at one point in time. Included in those applications, why weren't the 8 points of interest that we needed to fill out and understand at the time of receiving $145,000? Why wasn't that in that application? Where are the applications? I asked when you mentioned it at the ARPA meeting that the applications were going to be sent out. Could I have one? We have a village manager irate over the fact that he's been told he's getting 145 and not getting anything. Not even a notice that it's in the mail. We have a problem. And you're changing the rules as we go, and we can't do that.
I'm trying to follow the rules of the resolution.
Yeah.
I'm trying to follow the rules of the federal guidance. I'm trying to follow rules of our audits.
John, at the start, we have to have the rules stabilized so we know. We can't change them every month.
Too much red tape. With
Tell
all
me
due
about it.
respect, I do know that our clerk did receive it, so I do know, it went
Thank you.
out, I can't say everyone, but I do know
Right.
that ours did receive it. Not seeing any other lights, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your questions. I do appreciate it. It's my job to sit here and take it. I apologize if I got a little heated, but, it's wear my heart on my sleeve, so thank you.
Okay, my report will be fairly quick this evening. We had Supervisor Ellenberger, Harrison, Jefferding, and Zestera all asked to be excused tonight. I'm going to go ahead and, I did receive a nice letter. We will have something about the fairs coming up right shortly, but I did receive a nice letter from a family with 2 little girls that are going to be selling at the fair this year, and that's kind of my heart in there for 30-some years of the fair, so I'm just I asked the clerk if she would just read it over, not the whole letter, but just parts real quick, and this is kind of on the meat animal sale. But these kids, to do that, they have to show at the fair, they have to get the animals ready, they have to do certain things to sell at the fair and all this and that, and one of the things was they have to send out letters, and some of you might even got the same letters from the same family, but so I'm just going to have her read it real quick because it was to Winnebago County Supervisors.
Ready? Okay, the girls' names are Sadie and Nora Newman, and I'm just going to kind of, again, brief through them. So Nora is 9 years old. She's a member of 4-H Friends 4-H Club in Winnebago County. This is her first year exhibiting at the fair, my first year in the swine project. Other projects that she's taking this year are the goat project and photography project. Her pigs' names are Porky and Hammy. She's worked really hard with them every day since we brought them home in March. Since this is my first year, my goal has been to learn as much as I can about what it takes to take care of pigs and how to show them. Sadie's pigs' names are Mickey and Minnie, and she's worked just as hard with them. This is her second year showing. She has, her goal is to learn to take care of them and work with them on her own. I also wanted to continue to build on my showmanship skills. And then both of the girls included. The Winnebago County Fair will be held from August 2nd to August 6th at the Sunnyview Expo Center. I would like to invite you to the Winnebago County Fair Meat Animal Auction on Saturday, August 5th. where both of them will be selling their pigs. Buyer registration starts at 8 a.m. and the sale starts at 9. And then they did include, sorry. They did both include, I hope you will come enjoy the fair and consider supporting the local youth at the meat animal auction, and they both would love to see you there.
So that's just a couple of them all out of the, and you'll hear more here right shortly. The other things I want to thank you, and I'm sure they also do, is I thought it was great seeing good cheer of you at the 4th of July celebration, and also at Supervisor Albrecht's dedication of the building. It was very good food and everything, so it was really well seeing so many of you show up. So, and anyone that was there, you were seeing, that's for sure, and those that didn't, you were missed on good things. So that's all I have. We're going to move along. Next up, speaking of the fair, is the Winnebago County Fair presentation by Amber Hammond with the Fairest of the Fair, and Jody Bizzaio, Fairest of the Fair coordinator. And they'll have to introduce the third one.
We can do that. Thank you all for your time tonight. We appreciate being able to come speak to you. And thank you for your support of the county fair and everything you do, and let you know about some of the fun that's going on. I'm Jody Bizzaio, and I'm on the board of directors for the Winnebago County Fair. We are run by a 501c3 nonprofit association, so run all by volunteers for the fair. So we appreciate everything you guys do to support us to bring this community event to our community. So one of the duties I have on the board of directors is our marketing and communications, and I help coordinate the Fairest of the Fair program. It's a marketing and public relations position that helps promote the county fair. This year we actually had, every year we run a contest to find who's going to be our spokesperson and host. This year, we did not get any applicants when we ran our contest, so we had to recruit for a couple of extra months, and these two young ladies that are with me tonight thankfully stepped forward. They didn't want to see us go without our representation of the fair this year, so they agreed to step forward and fill in the roles for us. So Amber Hammond is our Fairest of the Fair this year, and then Amanda Stone is our, sorry, I shouldn't be touching it. Amanda Stone is our attendant for the Fairest of the Fair. So we have two young ladies out in the community working really hard to promote our event. So I'll let each of them talk a little bit, introduce themselves, and talk about what's going on at the fair this year.
Hello, I'm Amber Hammond, the Fairest of the Fair for the current term. First, I want to say thank you for allowing us to speak to you, and thank you also for your support of the fair. A little bit about my background is I graduated from UW-Oshkosh in 2021 with a marketing and public relations degree. I gave a TED Talk in September on invisible disabilities up in Rylander. I am a graduate of the Leadership Oshkosh class of 2023. I am the Board of Directors Marketing Chair for the UW-Oshkosh Fox Cities Foundation. I am the President of the National Friends of the Library, and currently in my daytime, I am the Assistant Director of the Grand Oshkosh. So that's a little bit about me. As you'll see in front of you, we provided you with some papers. If you look at the yellow sheet, it is a movie night that we're having on Tuesday, August 1st. We'd invite you to join. It'll be with all of the exhibitors. You have your opportunity to walk through the expo building and the barn. There's some food vendors, and it's all free. So this is your opportunity to meet the kids and really get to talk with them. So we encourage you to join that. Next, we have a junior fair judging date and time schedule. We also encourage you to go to that to show your support for the kids. And then a fun sheet, the blue sheet, is the Winnebago County Employees Night. If you head to that one you do have to pay for, but there's some fun things happening. On the back of that, there's the schedule events that happen the whole week at the fair. So we really hope to see you there and support the kids, and thank you again for everything that you do.
And then I'm Amanda Stone. I am the Winnebago County Fairest of the Fair attendant. A little bit about me. I grew up showing in 4-H. I showed horses, dairy cattle, art, photography, some more stuff in the expo building. I have one semester left at the University of Wisconsin River Falls, and I'll have my bachelor's degree in dairy science, after which I'll return to Olson Farms in Larson to continue dairy farming on their 6th generation farm there. So given that my background and interest lies primarily in agriculture, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the barn judging that we invite you to participate in at the fair. So if you look in this yellow envelope that you got, there should be a packet and then a sheet in there. The top sheet sort of explains what we're inviting you to come do. And then it can also serve as your entry to the fair at any admission gate, since you were invited to help judge the barns as you walk through the fair. So if you look through the packet, there should be a sheet for every individual animal group, so goats, sheep, horses, dairy, beef, etc. And then there's a score sheet on each one. Different categories are sort of explained across the top. As you walk through the barns, look at how each club and each group fits each different column and give them a score, and then you can return that to the fair office in the expo building. You can do as many or as few animal projects as you'd like. So if you just like to walk through the horse barns, you're welcome to just do the horse barns, but we invite you to come look at all the hard work of the youth and help us out in judging the barns this year at the fair. So hope to see you there. Thank you.
Any questions of these ladies? If not, make sure and show up out there and see these ladies and a lot of other hard workers out there and a lot of volunteers. And if you want to volunteer, I'm sure you can talk to Jody over there. She can line you up doing something if you'd like to volunteer. So, Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr.
Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would encourage as many supervisors as possible. I have done both animal barns and clover buds in terms of judging, and I highly recommend both, and I hope you'll sign up for some. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. At this time, we have consent agenda, and I know Supervisor Powers had called in before, and she wanted something off that consent agenda. Did you not say you wanted something off the consent agenda?
Yes, I'd ask for items number 6 and 7 to be removed since from the consent calendar because they need a 2/3 vote. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Hintz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to ask, do we need to remove something that has a 2/3 majority, or can we go by a voice vote, and if it doesn't pass by 2/3 of those, we can go to a roll call vote?
We can.
I'm just trying to, the process is, that's why it's there, because normally the consent agenda is a unanimous with nobody saying nay.
Right. You can tell pretty close, but I know like Supervisor Schellinger had caught one once where it was just within one vote. And so we had called it that way, and then he asked for roll call, and it was one vote, and so on, it failed. So yes, we have gone back and
Just
gone
trying
that.
to save time
Right.
for future meetings. Thank
Sure.
you.
Not hearing any of them too. Right, 6 and 7 will come off. Not seeing anyone else, do I have a motion for the approval of the consent agenda with 6 and 7 being removed?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. All right, number 1, approval of proceedings. Approval of proceedings from June 20th, 2023. This is all done now, so we go down to 6. We'd have to be. Resolution number 24307-2023, authorize the acceptance of a donation from Lamphey Hickey Steel in the amount of $5,000 for the purpose of purchasing supplies for the Be Active Go Outside program and a budget transfer in the amount of $5,000. Parks Committee, that would be, is that Supervisor Powers?
Thank you. Yes, I would move a resolution number 243-07-2023, authorize the acceptance of a donation from Lake Hickey Steel in the amount of $5,000 for the purpose of purchasing supplies for the Be Active Go Outside program and a budget transfer in the amount of $5,000.
And it was seconded by Supervisor Flom. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. Resolution number 24407, 2023, authorize the acceptance of a donation from the Oshkosh United Soccer Club in the amount of $7,500 for the purpose of installing electrical pedestals at the Winnebago County Community Park, and a budget amendment in the amount of $7,500. Supervisor Powers.
Yes, sir. I would move Resolution 244-072023, authorize the acceptance of a donation from the Oshkosh United Soccer Club in the amount of $7,500 for the purpose of installing electrical pedestals at the Winnebago County Community Park, and a budget amendment in the amount of $7,500.
Supervisor Hanson seconded that. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. Okay, Resolution 24507, 2023, Winnebago County Sheriff's Office Communication Center by designated the Public Safety Answering Point, Winnebago County. Supervisor Fari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of Resolution 24507, 2023.
Seconded by Supervisor Flom. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. Resolution 24607, 2023, authorize Parkview Health Center emergency staffing incentive proposal. Supervisor Schellinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for the approval of Resolution 246-07, 2023, authorize Parkview Health Center emergency staffing incentive proposal.
Seconded by Supervisor Nussbaum. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Nay. One nay. Resolution number 24707, 2023, authorize the purchase of 1021 Green Acres Lane, Neenah, Wisconsin, for $24,000 plus an additional $100,000 for the renovation cost, with either a transfer from the unassigned general fund balance or in advance the general fund to be reimbursed with a subsequent bond. Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Resolution number 247-07, 2023, to authorize the purchase of 1021 Green Acres Lane, Neenah, Wisconsin, for $240,000 plus an additional $100,000 for renovation costs, with either a transfer from the unassigned general fund balance or an advance the general fund to be reimbursed with a subsequent bond issue.
Seconded by Supervisor Dowling. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Supervisor Borchardt.
My hearing might be going, but I thought I heard two different costs for that. It's 240,000, isn't it?
240,000.
Is that what everybody said?
Well, I might have skipped it over once, but it was 240,000.
Yeah, okay, just so it's 240, that's all I got.
Right. 240 plus an additional 100,000. Any other discussion? Not seeing any other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Carried. Resolution 24807, 2023, approval of accepting an energy efficiency conservative block grant, EECBG, in the amount of $78,580 and applying the funds to the facilities budget for the purpose of replacing energy inefficient equipment and lights. Supervisor Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of resolution number 248-07, 2023.
And that's seconded by Supervisor Gustafson. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's carried. Resolution number 24907, 2023, adopting a revision to the Winnebago County Merit Pay Plan. Supervisor Cox.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to thank you. Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion of 249-07-2023, adopting the revisions to the Winnebago County Merit Pay Plan.
Seconded, we got a second by Dowling.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Not hearing any discussion. All those, oops, I'm sorry. Supervisor Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, fellow supervisors, I addressed the compensation issue with 7 years' experience under the Mark Harris merit system. It's been a flop. Supervisors back then approved the promise of an equitable way to reward superior employees. But frankly, what we got under the Mark Harris merit system has been confusion, dissatisfaction, and never an understanding of how it works. I will abstain from approval of the changes to the Mark Harris merit system and look forward to a simpler step compensation system just like Outagamie County just approved under McGrath Associates.
Any other discussion? Other discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Abstain.
Okay, we have one abstained, and I think there's one nay. Two nays. Two nays. Okay, so that would be majority. Okay. Adjournment. Supervisor Albrecht. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.